Hey folks, it's been a while with ELderath. We played a number of weeks ago, and I spent a week for work out in California, and it turns out we played ELderath. We played Runequest last night, or tonight, and I found that I had not actually done a review of session 90 of the ELderath game. So let's see. So Raymond asked Thurmond about why he thinks we're in the wrong place and asks if he has been to Kars. There are versions of us that are there. Oh, asks, are there versions of us there? No, but Herman is there, and he said that he met us in the Turning Lands. So discussions about what to do continues. How do we know if and when we're in the right Eldorath? There's got to be some sort of way. The gatekeepers knew of a way. Uh, we could try to find out how they did it, or we could go back through to Nis through the Tower Gate. There's most likely gatekeepers in each version of this stuff, right? We're trying to figure stuff out. Okay, next day we teleport. Thurman teleports us to the villa. The dwarf is there. Things seem normal except for one thing. Runt out looking for the dwarf. The smithy is there, is being worked, and the dwarf is there, and he stops and says, "Ah, Runt!" and gives him a big hug and says, "My friend, how are you?" So this is a very different dwarf-runt relationship than what we're used to. For the most part, things are as we had left them. However, the hectare seeded with Lynn's dirt and seed is producing twice as much vineyard than as the others are. Next day, off to the tower. Day after that, we have encampments. We see encampments of men at arms. There's militia that have been called up. Next day, we arrive midday at the tower. Thurman makes his way along the path, wandering around looking at the stones. He says, we're going to have to wait around for a while. Why is that? Herman casts a spell. Where should we detect magic? Says, the power level is too low. We need to wait for it to recharge. So we make camp and wait. Raymond looks for a gate altar. Wes attempts to commune with Maliki. Next day, still not enough energy. Week 3, day 1. Time to transit. So we walk along the path, the mist rises, and we find ourselves overlooking the Bay of Nis. Thurman goes into the village to see if it's the same or if it's different. Wes and Raymond call out in Elvish, just in general. There's no response. So we search around the ruins. Raymond finds a wicked-looking dagger that had been buried here for some time. He does a detect evil on it. It has an aura evil. Not like the Morganti dagger, but something like a residue like Hjalmar's blade has. The design is unlike anything we've seen. It's clearly designed to cause pain. It's got serrations and barbs. It has a bone handle. Runt. You ask Runt what does he make of it. Raymond notices that as soon as Runt touches the dagger, there's a hesitation for just a second. So Raymond tries to push Runt back. He's unsuccessful, but Runt doesn't grab the dagger. Raymond tells him something, but Runt doesn't recall anything. Just be careful. Runt picks up the dagger and he hears a voice in a language he has not heard before, but he understands it. He feels hungry, and the rations we have just won't do it. Runt runs and sticks the dagger to a tree. Says, this is why we can't have nice things. Raymond shows the dagger to Wes, and Wes uses his history skills. He recalls an obscure paper during an excavation in a Forerunner site that reveals something vaguely familiar to this. Using his comparative culture skill, the stylization is consistent with cultures that have a great deal of violence in their social systems, and it's probably not only ceremonial, but is actually functional, like a symbol of rank. Wes has a feeling that he's seen something like this before, but can't quite place it. Next couple of days, it occurs to Wes that the tower material is the same as the one at Ashing. It's designed to look like stonework, but it's not. It's designed to look like it's been hewn and carved, but it's not. He goes into the tower. He can't orient enough to find things. He's thinking that maybe this tower, all the towers, are similar. So if you go and find the stairs down in one tower, that's going to be the same place on every tower. But he can't find anything. Next day, still no Thurman. So we go down to the village and at the inn. A ship is due in a couple of days. People here do remember us, but they don't remember the elves or the soldiers with the muskets. So we sit back and relax, and Raymond walks along the docks and speaks with the workers. They recognize Lorath and Sylvanus, but are suspicious of Sylvanus. Wes again attempts to communicate, again unsuccessful. Runt finds out that when the Bloodstone people came and pushed Sylvanus on the locals, he then goes looking for the kids. That's right, Hilmar was going around trying to be helpful and friendly, but because he's wearing Sylvanus, people are turned off by that. So Runt goes looking for the kids, specifically ones he saw before, and he sees one and recognizes him. But the interactions they had had previously are different than what the boy remembers now. No elves, ships didn't have weapons, that kind of thing. Boat does not arrive. Next day, again, the boat does not arrive. It becomes drunken story time. So the players all get together and start talking about what they remember from their previous lives, kind of thing. Runt mentions cybernetics. He is not from the CSA, but one of the trailing neighboring sectors. And you have spinward and you have trailing as the galaxy spins, right? Next day, Raymond takes the telescope out to the top of the hill and he spies a ship that should arrive later that day. He takes Thurmond up and shows him the ship through the telescope. Back at the inn, we discuss options. This is not the NIS that we went to earlier, nor is it the one that we meant to go to. So we have discussions, and they bring up the Circle of Stolf, the saying of to perform the pattern of dominion in order to enter, and about the Imperial Orb asking to form the key of dominion. The key passage leads to the Hall of Mirrors, the Infinite Corridor. Thurman asks us about the mental frameworks. It tells us that the mental frameworks are used as a testing for becoming an Archmage, right? There are various degrees of access. Toward the evening, the ship pulls in. Discussions reveal that we are still in ELderath number 3. So ELderath 1 is our ELderath. ELderath 2 is the one that had the gunpowder weapons. ELderath 3 is where we found the flying ship and captured Mad Eye. We asked Thurman how much mana he needs to do his teleportation stuff. And Wes mentions he's got this magic point crystal. It's got 24 magic points in it and 1 point of power. He says, wait, what is that? He casts a spell on the crystal and it bites him for 4 points of damage. And he asks, can you hold it while I cast another spell on it? Oh, okay. He says it's a piece of a much larger being. That this crystal is connected to a heart. This is part of something's true name. Since you have put a piece of yourself in there, you are now connected to it. So, bad things. And he says, perhaps this item is biding its time and watching you. It might do something if you do something it doesn't like. So be careful. Day 7, 8, and 9, we teleport to Karst, to Telgar, to Ashing. Tolemtar steps out when we get to the Tower of Ashing. Greeting, friends. What can I do for you? Oh, I know you, but then I don't know you. Runt and Wes both make comments about the Circle of Stolf and the key and the pattern of dominion. And Tolemtar says, I can see that you are causing a disruption. I will assist you. Normally, I would hold you to bonds of silence, but believe they would not hold once you leave this realm. I cannot stress the importance of keeping silent on the things you see and learn here. Wes recognizes a sign between Thurman and Tolemtar, glyphs or runes that express a permanence of something. Like obedience to superior to master kind of thing. Tolemtar takes us to the bowels of the tower. He places places that Wes has not been to. Down, 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 down. We keep going. We use magical light, but then it starts to get dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. Eventually, we come to a mundane types of lighting. He lights a lantern and continues. Down, down, down we go. We come to a very large cavern. In the distance is something glowing, and we come to a natural cavern. As we get closer from above, we don't get a good look at it. As we come level with it, and we continue for some distance. This is an incredibly dangerous journey, but one that you have already put your foot on, or else you would not be here. It is possibly the most dangerous way, but it is the most sure way. We come through a rough-hewn granite steps onto a glass surface which has a glow. He points down where we can see a very fine thread flowing around under the glass surface. It is a deep, dark shadow. He says, if you take a step on this path at the end, you may choose where to go. As I understand it, you have passed through shadow or realms by those who came before us. It's not entirely clear, but we do know that at the end of their war, many places were destroyed. This is a remnant of their knowledge or power. Some call it the Infinite Corridor. I am dubious and think it's something more fundamental than that. The only advice I can give you is do not stop. If you stop, you will die. This line is a fragment. It's much shorter than the line that Dylan traveled before when we were on, what was the planet? Shoot, I forgot the planet's name, but it's where we found the Martian ship, the Goblin. And in the hill, there was a cavern that went down into skyscrapers that were all underground. And at the bottom of one of these skyscrapers, there was a break in the wall. I went through. There was some kind of like nuclear power station kind of thing, and back in behind there was another one of these round surface areas with this line of power running through it. These towers were not crafted by the ancients. Their crafted creation and many ran. They crafted creation and many. Oh, my notes here are bad. Sorry. Items like the circles of stealth is where they hid things and they trapped creatures. Entering the circles of stealth is a very risky proposition, as we do not know what is hidden or imprisoned there. Those that survived are the ones who created the pales, that created the weapons they used against their brothers. Hell is not a place of fallen angels, but a place to keep things away from humanity. If you wish to return to your own place from which you came from, this is the only way I know of. The only other option is to create the original error that brought you here. These are all words from Tolomtar. So Ron asks, how do we get to where we want to go? Okay, the thread will make a reflected realities a choice. Where you choose to be is open before you. Maybe it's a simple matter of will to be where you belong. So we're dealing with magic here that we cannot replicate. You should also know that this will likely change you in some way. One does not walk this path without being marked by it. And that's where we ended that session. So the next session, which is actually we're going to play tomorrow night, is our choice in walking the pattern. I didn't make a note here, but I do remember mentioning that Wes mentioned I've walked something similar to this, because when he was dealing, he did, and that brought up a lot of questions and consternation. Lots of data, mythology dump kind of stuff happening. Lots of notes to take. Happy gaming.